Here's a brief segment from Naruto and Kurama Part 8 that didn't make it through to the final cut. I would appreciate your input on whether it should have been included in Part 8. Snapping out of his brief internal conversation with Kurama, Naruto grinned at her. Yeah, Sakura-chan. I was just thinking about our plan, for Sasuke and the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sakura blinked, then her eyes narrowed slightly. You mean the let's pretend Naruto dies and shock Sasuke into unlocking his Sharingan plan? Her tone was dry, a stark contrast to Naruto's enthusiasm. That's the one, Naruto said, chuckling. His carefree attitude earned him a skeptical look from Sakura. You do realize we're walking on a very thin line, right? And not just with Sasuke, but with the Hokage, our mentors, everyone. Sakura reminded him, concern lacing her words. Don't worry, Sakura-chan, Naruto assured her. Kurama promised he'd heal me up right away. As if on cue, Kurama's voice echoed once more in Naruto's mind. Just so you're aware, I still think this is a terrible idea. But, I'll be ready to heal you, Naruto. Naruto chuckled again, patting his stomach where Kurama resided. See, Sakura-chan? Nothing to worry about. The skeptical look on Sakura's face didn't fade, but she didn't voice further objections. Instead, she just sighed, shaking her head. You're impossible, Naruto. With a wide grin on his face, Naruto just shrugged, and together, they continued on their journey, not knowing the extent of what was about to unfold. The quiet rustle of leaves and the faint murmur of the wind were the only sounds accompanying Team 7 and Team 10 as they traversed deeper into the forest. An eerie quietude had descended upon the woods as a dense mist began to curl around the trunks of ancient trees, the ethereal fog seemingly out of place in the otherwise tranquil scenery. In the midst of the bone-chilling silence, an ominous figure emerged from the spectral mist, Zabuza Momochi. His gargantuan blade glinted ominously under the sparse sunlight, its deadly aura painting a grim picture. Sensing the looming danger, Naruto sprang into action, positioning himself in front of the formidable adversary. His loud, defiant yell reverberated through the woods. You're in for some real trouble, Zabuza. Drawn towards the provocation, Zabuza lunged at Naruto, his deadly blade aiming for a killing blow. However, in a swift maneuver, Naruto repositioned himself to receive the blow in a non-vital area, ensuring that the injury, although severe, would not be fatal. His body recoiled under the impact, collapsing onto the cold forest floor. Witnessing the jovial Naruto falling, seemingly lifeless, set off a wave of shock and panic among the ranks. Sasuke, overcome with a sense of dread, rushed to Naruto's side, his eyes reflecting a confusing mix of disbelief and panic. He fell to his knees next to Naruto, clutching his friend's head gently. Naruto, he muttered, his voice choked with fear. Get up, this isn't funny. Naruto, feigning a struggle to speak, let out a raspy whisper, Sasuke. I can't. Sakura, aware of the ruse, felt a pang of guilt as she witnessed Sasuke's distress. Her heart ached for her comrade who was being subjected to such emotional torment under false pretenses. She turned away, unable to bear the heartbreaking scene unfolding before her. The others, too, stood in silent shock. Shikamaru Ino and Choji found themselves unable to process the distressing sight. Even Kakashi, the seasoned veteran, struggled to maintain his composure. Naruto, hold on, he muttered, his fists clenching. In the midst of the commotion, Naruto summoned all his strength to speak again, a weak smile on his lips as he looked up at Sasuke. You know, Sasuke, he managed to cough out, I really messed up, huh? All these years of training, and I let myself get hit. Guess I still have a lot to learn. Sasuke, his eyes filled with tears, shook his head. "Stop it, Naruto. You're not going to die. You can't." But Naruto's voice grew fainter, his words barely a whisper. I don't want to die, Sasuke. I'm not ready, but I guess it's too late." With a final shaky sigh, Naruto's arm dropped lifelessly to his side, his eyes slowly closing. The silence that followed his last breath was shattering. Sasuke, stunned and helpless, could do nothing but watch in horror. And then, it happened. Sasuke's grief-stricken scream cut through the eerie silence, a sound that was both devastating and chilling. When he lifted his head, his eyes glowed with the magnificent and fearsome pattern of the Mangekyo Sharingan. It was a sight that was breathtaking, yet haunting, marking the beginning of a battle that was sure to be etched into the annals of Konoha's history. The chilling sight of Naruto's apparently lifeless body imprinted itself onto Sasuke's mind, igniting a volatile mix of raw emotions. Anguish, regret, and a burning rage swirled together, propelling Sasuke into a whirlwind of action. As Zabuza readied himself to launch another attack, his movements suddenly froze, as if he had hit an invisible barrier. His usually piercing eyes glazed over, his body slackened, and he staggered backward. The signature mist he used to shroud his deadly presence started to dissipate, revealing him in his vulnerable state. This all happened within an instant, all under the intense gaze of Sasuke's newly activated Sharingan. With his powerful Genjutsu, Sasuke had seized control over Zabuza's mind, rendering the demon of the hidden mist powerless. Seizing the opportunity, Sasuke made his move. Swiftly closing the distance between them, he gathered a potent surge of electricity in his hand, manifesting the Chidori, a high-frequency, lightning-based ninjutsu. With a swift thrust, Sasuke struck Zabuza. His body convulsed violently under the electrical assault before collapsing onto the ground, unconscious but still breathing. Amidst the overwhelming swirl of emotions, Sasuke's inherent aversion to unnecessary killing prevailed. His retaliation had been swift and precise, but non-lethal. Panting heavily, Sasuke's gaze was once again drawn back to Naruto's unmoving form. The sight gnawed at his heart, but something seemed off. His Mangekyo Sharingan, still activated, picked up on a faint irregularity. Naruto's chest was rising and falling rhythmically. A faint crimson aura was emanating from Naruto, a telltale sign of the Nine-Tails chakra working its healing magic. His eyes then shifted towards Sakura. Why wasn't she rushing over to accelerate Naruto's healing process? Why didn't she appear distressed? His Sharingan detected no signs of an elevated heart rate or stress in her, an anomaly in such a situation. It was as if she was in on a secret. And then it hit him, they had planned this. They had deliberately deceived him, toyed with his emotions, and he had fallen right into their trap. He needed answers, and he needed them now. With the intensity of the moment fading, Sasuke deactivated his Sharingan and turned his attention to Sakura. There was a calmness in his demeanor, but his voice carried a tinge of irritation. "What's going on?" he demanded, his eyes moving from Sakura to Naruto's seemingly lifeless body. His wounds looked fatal. "I was sure he was dying." Sakura, meeting his gaze, merely shrugged. "Didn't seem that way to me," she responded cryptically. Sasuke's eyes narrowed slightly. Of course, Sakura as a medical ninja in training would be able to differentiate between fatal and non-fatal wounds. So, why the ambiguity? Refusing to be left in the dark, Sasuke reactivated his Sharingan, using its sensory abilities to see through any potential deception. He looked Sakura straight in the eyes. "Was all this pre-planned?" he asked bluntly. Sakura's gaze dropped, a guilty expression crossing her face. Her silence was confirmation enough. Still, she managed to mutter, "I trust Naruto's judgment." Don't you? The annoyance in Sasuke was quickly overshadowed by the truth of her words. Of course, I trust him, Sasuke conceded, though he couldn't help but add, but this still pisses me off. Before Sasuke could question Sakura further, Naruto, fully healed, stirred and stood up. His seemingly miraculous recovery didn't escape Sasuke's notice. Without wasting any more time, Sasuke confronted Naruto. "What is this all about?" he asked, his annoyance replaced by a steely determination for answers. Naruto looked at his friend, understanding the seriousness of his demand. "Now's not the time, Sasuke," he said, attempting to placate him. "We're in the middle of a mission. I promise, I'll explain everything later." Sasuke was quiet for a moment, his gaze hardening. "I want to hear the truth, Naruto." "No more lies," he said, his voice steady yet laced with underlying frustration. Internally, Naruto had to agree with Sasuke. He couldn't afford